Great, I didn't know this was here. Maybe I could take more advantage of this more often. What do you think?
You could. You gotta come up with some money though.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll try. I'll try.
This is the first you'll see me here ever. I'm leaving. I will never be back.
So, Gary, this is you are rerunning for city council.
Running
So
for
this is your
re-election,
second
yes.
term.
Second term as the city councilor from beautiful District 5.
Yes.
Which is basically the area Tatnick Square to Newton Square to Webster Square, that broad area. It's the largest
Webster
area.
Square, too?
Webster Square, way up to the airport, in fact, all the way around. It's the largest of the 5 districts. The districts are divided according to population.
Yes.
And so in that area, we have a lot of yards. So to get the population count, we have to have a larger area. So I have more streets in the district than the other 4, more sidewalks, more sewers, more problems, more complaints,
Yes.
more work, but we get it done. We get it done. I love it.
Yes. So I do know that you also work with Worcester State, and I know that you were working to get the biking. What is it called? The sidewalks over there on.
More so at Worcester State University, though, is the decades-old problem of traffic and parking. The parking issue has been going on for decades. The neighbors have been angry. Worcester State, which I love Worcester State, it's a gem in our community and in the district. But they've been building and expanding, and it seems like their parking has not been expanding at the same rate. So the students park anywhere and everywhere. Some wind up in driveways, which I can't believe. I don't know if I'd ever do that, but they park in people's driveways. They park everywhere. And the neighbors, unfortunately, have really lost patience. The city is working on a new traffic and parking plan for the entire Worcester State area. It was supposed to be done this year, so going at the rate of the city, it's probably a year away. I mean, if they said 2015, we can count on 2016 maybe a year. But we're working on it like so many other things. And as I said, Worcester State, I love the university. I love the idea of the new wellness center that's being built.
Indeed.
Yeah, it looks great from the street anyway. So
Yeah.
I think it's going to be done next spring.
That'll be nice.
Yeah.
That'd be
Great.
great.
So you talked about a lot of stuff that you're dealing with right now.
Right.
What is an average day for a city councilor in a district?
Okay, I've served on the city council on a couple occasions, and previous to this, I was an at-large councilor, where you deal with the entire city. Now, as a district council, I have my own territory. Besides the city and the city's problems, obviously I'm concerned with that just as much as any council, but I'm responsible for my district, which gives me much more constituent service. If you were an at-large councilor, someone might call you and say, gee, I want to have my street paved, my sidewalk. Where do I start? How do I do this? How do I petition? How do I ask? A lot of different questions. What you would do is probably say, call Gary Rosen. You're in District 5. Call Gary Rosen. He's your district councilor. Okay. So it winds up in my lap. And I make a lot of, I'm like the old-time doctors. You guys are too young to remember, but doctors not years ago, 50, 60 years ago, used to make house calls. Well, that's
I'm sorry, I'd like to
They made house calls years ago, and I do that as a counselor. People will say, well, I got this tree, this problem. I got this sidewalk problem. So I go out and I see what's going on there. So I spend a lot of time doing that. I'm on the phone and on the email so many hours a day. Now, I've been the District 5 councilor for less than 2 years, so a year and 10 months.
Okay.
And I'm up to about contacts, which are mostly email, but also my home phone. I use my home phone. Contacts close to 4,000. That's a lot of contacts for one person, no staff. So I can sit there. I can sit there at my desk with my phone on one side and my computer on the other, and I can just respond to constituent needs. And in District 5, we are the biggest and the neediest district of them all.
So you guys get the most requests for changes and things happen?
Right. 5 district councils for 5 districts, 6 at-large councils, including the mayor. The mayor has a staff of 2. I'm sure he gets more calls than me, but he has a staff of 2 full-time people. I got a staff of Gary Rosen. That's it. And so we get all the calls. We do most of the constituent service. Other councilors refer their constituents to the district councilors. And I think they see that as their responsibility, too. Over the years, it's kind of evolved since we've had district councilors since about 1988, so it's relatively recent. Since we've had district councilors, they've gained more and more responsibility, maybe even more and more power. That district is my responsibility. So if you're an at-large councilor, hey, call me. Let me work on it. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's what we've evolved into. I wouldn't mind any at-large councilor helping out with the constituent service, helping to solve problems. But most get offended. Sometimes I kind of slip into another district to help out people I know, people who make requests, and that councilor might really be offended. Well, what are you doing? This isn't your district. So there's a lot of ownership. It's become very territorial.
All right, so you're running unchallenged, correct?
I'm running unchallenged, but if you go up to beautiful District 5, if you've been up there the last 2 months, I've got lots of lawn signs out there. It says Gary Rosen, City Council, beautiful District 5 we call it. It's right on the sign. And I've been doing standouts. You've seen me either at Webster Square, Newton Square, or Tatney Square. I kind of rotate. And the standouts are effective. People say, okay, Rosen's unopposed, but at least he's showing me he still wants the job. Okay. And that's my message. Yep.
So that answered my next question, which was, why are you working so hard if you running unopposed?
Well,
see me, I'd be at home on the Xbox, or I'd be, I'd be playing video games or something. Talking about the packs.
I get the question all the time, but it's that message that I'm not lazy. I'm glad to have no opponent. I've always had opponents for school committee and at-large council, but I still act like I have an opponent, even though I don't.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so. So there's a lot of things going on. And the way that you're talking about the city councilors at large and then the 5 districts. So are you saying that there's not a lot of unity between the councilors?
No, it's just the evolution. No matter who those 5 district councilors are, they seem to have the responsibility, the authority in their district. Whatever goes on in that district could be an idea the city manager has. I think we want to do something up the airport, which is in beautiful District 5, my district. Call me right away and say, what do you think of this? And when there's meetings about parks and playgrounds, swimming pools, Coast Pond, whatever's going on in the district, I'm part of that. So the district councils seem to have the responsibility and authority for an area which, when I used to be an at-large councilor, I never had. My constituent service years ago when I was at-large, like the other 6 are now, was fairly minimal because I'd say, call Paul Clancy, he's your district councilor. Call Phil Palmieri, he's your district councilor, just like they do with me. So it's more responsibility. It's much more responsibility and territory. I like that, but sometimes it is a lot of work. I never realized that people were so needy that you'd get calls for just about everything you can think of. I mean, I don't think in all my life I ever called a politician. That's just me. I can get 15 calls a day, so people don't think like me.
All right. So come on. So now we are on the Positive Impact Show, Flavor 105.5 FM.
Yes.
I have, I don't know. See, the Bible says don't gossip, but I sometimes want to know some of the inside stuff. So tell me, what was the most contentious thing as a member of city council that you had to argue over or really say, no, I believe this, in that it was really discord.
This present term or in my
your entire
present
term. Okay, this present term is fine.
2 things I can think of. One involves, Chantel, your Worcester State University about 6 months ago. Now, I'm an old timer now. 2 more months, I'm going to be 71. So that's kind of an old timer. I'm still using a flip phone.
Oh, wow.
You guys probably don't even know what a flip phone is. In any case, and I'm not on social media. They all are.
You're not on social media?
I don't do Twitter.
You need to.
Oh, no.
And
I got my 4,000.
And your flip phone.
What, me?
And your flip phone.
I use my house phone.
And he still got a house
phone. He has a house
phone. Wait a minute. Yes, hey, now you're going to get old someday.
Yeah.
And you may be behind the times in another 40 years.
I'm trying not to be.
Okay, so I know. I should use social media. I should do all that, but I don't. So I'm being very honest.
Okay, all right.
So we decided to finally solve the Worcester State University neighborhood parking problems after decades that no one could solve them. Gary Rosen, the people in charge over at Worcester State, the administration, the city manager, a few others from the city traffic engineer. We had the solution. The solution was right across the street, the Chandler Magnet Elementary School. Wait, I thought it was a good idea at the time until my constituents obviously taught me differently.
Okay.
But there's a big old field. It used to be Chandler Junior High School. I went there in grade 7 and 8. That's how long ago. It's a terrible field. But it became a symbol to the folks who lived around it in the neighborhood. Ashland Road and Moore Ave, May Street and Chelsea Street became a symbol, their field of dreams.
Yeah.
It was so great. Suddenly, they all loved the field and they wanted to fix it up and all these great ideas, which was fine. So we tried to pave that. It would have been bigger than a Walmart parking lot. It would have been 700 to 800 parking spaces.
Wow.
Right across from Worcester State. We could have cleared every car off May Street and Chandler Street and more and had the whole area. But, you know, anyway,
I went to school there.
You went to school at Chandler Mag? Oh, okay. So
it was like, I can't, I'm signing the petition.
So you know the field well.
I love that.
The reason I brought up the social media is today you organized fast. One day there were like 700 people on there who signed a petition, and they beat us up for about 7 or 8 weeks, and finally we came to our senses, and we said, this is not going to work. You have to have neighborhood support. You know, they told us we weren't transparent. I don't know. Maybe we learned. I guess we did learn a lesson. We should have done it differently. Maybe it was a poor idea. I was sincere. I thought it was a great idea. I don't have, a monopoly on wisdom just because I'm old, right? So
I'm happy you can admit it, though.
It was a mistake. Okay, and the second one was the choice of Ed Augustus as the city manager. Years ago, I served. I served with Ed on the school committee.
Yeah.
When I was younger, and he was only like his early 20s in those days, back in the late 80s. So I knew him well. When his name came up, he had just been elected almost 2 years ago for city council. Mike O'Brien announced he was going to leave. We needed a new city manager. Mayor Joe Petty brought up the name Ed Augustus. So I said, great. I mean, I thought it was terrific, and I still do. I support Ed. He is fairly popular. He gets along with most people. Not to get along with everyone, but most people. He's a good leader. He listens. He's compassionate. He's concerned. I see the best of motives in him. So, but it was a tough decision. A lot of people rebelled because Ed used to work for Congressman McGovern.
Yeah.
And that whole
I think people rebelled a little more because of the fact that it was said to them that he was there for the interim, and that there was going to be a process of elimination, and then once
a national search.
Yes, and then once that search stopped, and it was nope, we're going to let Ed do. Then it was like wait, who decided that? So that's where everybody got upset. I feel.
It was Ed who said that I'm going to stay 9 months and that's it.
Yeah.
When he was appointed, there were some comments in the newspaper and other blogs and so on against Ed because he was the machine. Yeah. And he was part of the McGovern machine. Okay. And he read those, and I was surprised he was so thin-skinned. In government, politics and government, you have to be a little thicker skinned. And right away, to end that, he said, I'm only staying my 9 months, don't beat me up. I was shocked he did that. We wanted him to stay longer, and we tried to make it clear. He kept saying 9 months at the most.
And I think that people felt like it was a lie.
Right, they did.
And then once you lie to me, it's very hard to come back.
I can understand that.
So,
April of, I guess this last year was when we wanted to appoint Ed. April of last year. April 1st, April Fool's Day. It was a Tuesday, a city council meeting. Sarai Rivera, Councilor Sarai Rivera, District 4, and I put in an order saying, let's just appoint Ed. Before we go on this national search. We hadn't done the national search. And we figured most of us wanted Ed. So we said, he's here. If we can twist his arm and get him to change his mind, he'll stay, and we don't have to do the national search. The problem is he wouldn't say yes. So we had to go through a national search. We came up with 3 candidates who weren't the best. We didn't think they were the best. So finally we went back to Ed. So we did the national search. We got these 3 candidates. We don't like any of them. Will you stay now? And he finally said yes. But the whole process was poor.
It was very poor.
I think it was well-intentioned, but it was just poor. Yes. And people don't trust. We know they don't trust government officials and politicians.
Especially now when you lie and you get caught.
That's right. Well,
once you get caught, it's over.
Yeah.
And you know what? The most unfortunate part about that is even today, you can still turn on the radio and hear the McGovern crime family.
Yes.
The McGovern crime family.
Well, there's only one member of the Rosen crime family. That's me. So
okay.
No one ever accuses me of a crime family. Just Rosen.
Okay.
I respect the fact that you're still. Are you still fundraising too?
Fundraising. I raised the lowest amount of anyone ever in the history of Worcester campaigns because I didn't have an opponent, so I couldn't ask people for money. But I
understand that. But
I had 5 donors: myself, my wife, Dottie Hargrove, my good friend, and 2 other people from the just I know from the community, 5 people donated, I think, a total of $900. I bought new lawn signs.
Mm-hmm.
That
And which I
beautiful
know.
District 5. That's it. No ads, nothing.
And I like the red.
The red,
Yeah,
right.
I do.
Someone asked me at Catholic Square the other day, why red and white? I said, because when I started school committee in 1985, my first campaign was for school committee, I said, I had to choose colors, and I looked at stop signs. I said, if stop signs are white and red, someone must know what they're doing.
Right.
Because they're noticeable. And Coca-Cola, we know, they know what they're
Look, he
doing.
said
White on red. That was my 2 things. I said, we're going to have those colors.
It's color psychology. You know, I just
Because
read about
red
the
means
food.
power.
Red means food
And power.
and food.
And
That's why, and food. But
I like the power.
every food place that you see on the street, McDonald's, Burger King, they all have red.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah.
I
Right,
blame.
it is.
I'm suing you because this is the reason why I'm out of shape now.
Hey, I have 50 extra pounds, too.
At least you practice what you preach, then I guess. I don't know.
So Gary, I like the fact that you're still out there and you're still, showing people that you're there, you're concerned, and all of that. Because it was very easy for me to come in and speak with you. I came in your office like, hey, I need you on the show, didn't I?
Right.
So I like the fact that you are open to hear people speak with you and, talk with them. I love that about you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I try to be open and honest and caring.
You should be.
As I said, I don't have the wisdom of Solomon. Do I take the wrong votes? Do I make mistakes? I do. But they're
But
all
you're
sincere.
human.
They're not to
Yes.
hurt people. They're what I think
Exactly.
is right. And that's what happens sometimes. Sometimes you think it's right, and you learn later, people teach you, gee, it wasn't right, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I like. I like no sense of pride in anything. Any question you've answered, no sense of pride. We've had people come in here and sit
So
and
cocky.
yeah.
Like, no.
Oh,
Don't
gee.
do that with us. We're not the one.
You must be a lot
So-
younger than I when you reach my age.
Yeah, I got a lot of kids now, so
Me too.
Yeah,
Like humble.
yeah, right. I'm just like, it's all right. It's all right.
It's
It's
fine.
all
It's
right.
not gonna kill
I
you.
don't care. It's not a big deal.
But I think there should be term limits, though, for everyone, from president down to school
agree.
committee. I mean, I think I did 10 years of school committee, 2 years as a city councilor, then I was off for 8. I came back and did 4. I went off for 4. I'm back on for 4. I mean, I can't last that long because
And plus, you
it wears
lose
you
touch-
out, and there's other things to do with your life.
Yes, and you lose touch with what's happening now because a lot of the people that are on city council that have been there for decades upon decades
Right.
are not in touch with what's going on now.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it's like at one point in time, some point in time, you need to say, you know what? I need to step down, train somebody else. If it's about you knowing the knowledge that you have and you want somebody to replace you that has the same knowledge, then you need to be a mentor to the next person that you want in the office.
That's the way
And
it
that's
should
it.
work. But
That's
people
it.
gain power through staying there for years.
Mhm.
They can raise money. They've done a lot of favors, and they get a lot of votes that way, and they tend to last. It's
And
hard
those
to-
favors are what is dangerous.
Yes.
That's what's dangerous is all these favors
Right,
that people have to do and all of that. So I don't like that.
right. So that's why term limits would be good because government service public service should always be temporary. That's what it
Yes.
should. Temporary, not your life's work, like so many in Congress.
You need
It's
to
your life's
move
work.
up and move on. Don't stay stagnant
Right.
and be dormant in your position because there's a lot of people that are in position but are dormant and don't do anything.
Right.
You
exactly.
just sit there and you go to work and then you go to a city council meeting and you just talk trash. At the end of the day, you're supposed to be working for us.
Exactly.
So you might possibly have a new mayor in the city of Worcester.
I don't know.
I'm going to name the 3 candidates that are running for mayor, and you just have to say one thing good about them. You don't have to say one thing that you hope they change or hope they. No, yeah, you do. So say one thing good. No, say one thing. No. Say one thing good about them, but then say something that you hope they work towards in Worcester.
Okay, I like that.
All right. So
We'll try.
first, Bill Coleman. What do you think about Bill Coleman?
Bill Coleman's very persistent, doesn't give up. So
Great
I think
Yep.
I think that's good for Bill, and he really cares about the city. I mean, some of his ideas sometimes I think like he came up with an idea a few weeks ago before the council to pay the mayor $75,000. The mayor gets about $30,000. It's a part-time job. It's not really a powerful job. The mayor, he's not a strong mayor. The city manager kind of runs the.
Yeah,
Okay.
The city manager.
So,
does.
and anyway, but Bill cares about people. He's persistent. He's compassionate. He has some good ideas. He's got a great sense of humor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Which should not
Right.
always be in public, but go ahead.
Right. Well, he's got a good sense of humor. certain meetings
We'll
would
talk
might
about it.
help.
I'll tell you after.
Okay. All right.
So, but Bill has tried and tried, and if he hasn't succeeded on getting on the council or being elected mayor, I would expect that the same results might be forthcoming this Tuesday, only because he's got that track record. I don't think he's going to be able to come in first over Mike Gaffney or Joe Petty.
Speaking of which, okay, challenger number 2, Michael Gaffney.
Michael Gaffney, I don't know him as well because I've only served with him for less than 2 years. How can I say this? He cares about the city. He stresses public safety.
Mm-hmm.
He got the police endorsement, which was huge for him, probably the only labor endorsement he got. But he cares about the schools, safety in the schools. We all kind of differ a little bit on how maybe we can keep our schools safe,
right,
and our city safe, and our neighborhood safe. But he does care about that. He stressed that. He's not part of the political machine at all.
Right, yeah.
If I were Mike Gaffney, I would have waited, more than the 2 years he's served. I just would have waited. I don't think anyone's ready after 2 years of service to become the mayor.
Okay.
So too new, but does he have a shot? I know a lot of people support him. He's got heavy support from one of the blogs, the Turtle Boy blog, and I'm sure for I know.
He does.
I'm just saying what's happening. So and Joe Petty, obviously mayor for at least 4 years now. Anyway,
yep.
Very compassionate, cares about people. Seems to be very sensible.
Yep.
Obviously wants to bring the city together, which I think we'd all agree we have to do that. We have to start working on it. I always thought that maybe we stop pointing fingers in so many directions and we start, embracing and saying, how can we work together? I don't want us in Worcester to be too accusatory of one another.
Right.
I'd rather have us just say, let's work together, okay.
And agree to disagree.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. That's going to always happen. It happens to us in the council. The 11 of us don't always get along, don't always agree, but it's important for the 11 of us. So now you look at a city of less than but close to 200,000. It's important that 100,000 of those adults work together and try to make it a better place for everyone. A more welcoming place, a better place to do business, to establish a business, better place to raise your family and to send your children to schools. That's the things I'd like to see. I think we've had maybe the past year or so a lot of accusations from all different people and all different groups and different venues, whether on the internet or at meetings or so on, and maybe it's time to get beyond that and say, okay, so forgetting who's at fault, how can we make it better for all of us?
Okay.
I like Gary Rosen.
Thank you.
Like Gary too.
I do.
So, Gary, tell us why we should vote for you. Even though you don't really
There's no other choice. Well, actually, there is another choice. I was just looking back recently. There's a choice, the blanks. I was looking at other elections to see 1/3 of the people who vote will not vote for any one name on that ballot. They just won't. If you don't have an opponent, they're not going to color in that little oval. They're going to blank. And sometimes it's 35 to 40% blanks. I look back to the last several elections in districts where the person didn't have an opponent. So I've worked hard, and I also want to keep the blanks down.
Okay.
If I do run, I'm getting older, and I don't know if I'll run in 2 more years. And if I don't, there'll certainly be a lot of people who will want to run. And if I do, there'll probably be a lot of people who will run. But if I want to run in 2 years, I hate to have people look back at the last election and say, okay, the old man's weak now. We're going to take advantage of his situation. But they should vote for me because I think I've lived here my whole life. Haven't left the city. I care about the schools. I care about everyone's safety. I care about house values. I own a home in Worcester, my wife and I. I care about our neighborhoods. I do care about all people who live in this city and beyond, but let's stick to Worcester, obviously. We have a handful just in Worcester. And I can work with anyone in the city.
Awesome.
I can work with anyone. That's the thing. Some people, sometimes they don't realize that they should, reach out to all of us and say, how can we work together?
Okay, so I don't know if the boss told you, but whoever comes on this show as a guest, you have to sing one positive song before you leave.
Oh,
so we're about to say goodbye, but we need...
Since I'm the oldest politician you've had, I can't. But I'll listen to you guys. I'll be glad to listen.
No. Listen, there's no I can't. No, I can't. Any song you want, I just want a little bit.
I'm not going to sing. There's some
things I do. He refuses to sing on the show.
But I listen well, so come on.
Okay, all right.
No, you guys like to sing.
All right, fine. So no pressure. So then fine. Tell us what was one of the wisest advice you were ever given.
Good clothes.
One of the wisest advice that I was ever given. Well, I guess it was when I went to WPI. I majored in chemistry way back in the 60s.
Okay.
And people from WPI, once you graduate, you went on to big companies like, I was chemistry, chemical engineering. So you went on to places like Exxon and oil companies and big companies, chemical companies. You did all this stuff. But my former high school chemistry teacher, who I was still in touch with, because I went to classical high, which is now the superintendent's offices in Worcester. He and I used to talk, even though I was about ready to graduate college, and he told me, he suggested, why don't you go into high school teaching? You love schools, you love youth. You graduated from classical Doherty High. It was just about to open.
Shout out to Doherty
High.
High. Yes, Doherty now.
I taught at Doherty for 17 years.
Okay.
That's what he was. He moved from classical to Doherty. So his wisdom, his advice was, go into high school teaching. I loved it. I had a good long career in it. I loved it. Maybe I could have made more money elsewhere, but there's some things that are more important than dollars, I guess, and that was happiness.
All right.
Yeah, so all right. Advice.
All right. Well, I want to say thank you for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been a
Yep.
pleasure.
I had a good time.
This is a secret, this station. How
So
can
we're
we
trying to
publicize
make it. Yeah, let's work on that.
So help us spread the word.
And
Help us
thank
get
you.
people
Awesome.
listening.
At one of the upcoming meetings,
Yep.
I'll mention under suspension at the end of the meeting. I was on the station here, and people should know we got a great station in Worcester that's down at this location. If the door's open, they may find it.
All right. All right.
All right. Thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Be well.
Very nice to meet you.
Oh, wait. Yeah, we have to take some pictures. Don't be
Yeah.
running. Oh, wait. He said, get me out of
Okay. I didn't sing, but
the
I'll
day
take a
after
picture.
Halloween. Get me out of here.